Hello and welcome to another video. I got this book called The Beginner's Guide to Fantasy Drawing not too long ago, and at the end of the book they include a couple of prompts for some character designs. So I thought it'd be fun to create a character for each prompt together. The one I decided to go with first was titled Goblin Merchant, and the prompt said, "This pioneering little merchant ventures above ground more frequently than other goblins, bringing magical carvings and rare potions that are some of the best in the land." So already I envisioned the cute little goblin guy selling a bunch of magical items and in raggedy clothing from living underground. When I started designing the character, I went with some rough ideas I had initially, but as I draw out the character, I started to get a feel for the personality and what their story is. So in this case, as I was coming up with ideas, I thought of a cute story for our little guy. Since the prompt said he's more adventurous than the rest, I of course gave him a more adventurous personality, and I imagined he'd be a bit of an extrovert and good at haggling with his buyers. I wanted to give him clothes that have some dirt and patches on them, since I imagined that he'd be a bit dirty from running around underground most of the time. But even though I imagine him as a successful merchant, I think he gives back a lot of the money to his goblin community, affording everyone nice necessities and quality of life upgrades. So I don't think he'd spend much money on himself. Hence why, again, he's gonna look a little bit raggedy. At first, I started with a basic t-shirt with pants and boots combo. Pretty typical, nothing too fancy, but it gave me a nice basis. From there, I really started to add the personality pieces onto the top. I first added a cloak on top of him. Originally, it was just a basic one, but after thinking about his generous nature, I decided that this cloak is actually going to be quite nice, as it was made by his village's master sorcerer, and he infused it with some magical properties to help keep him safe above ground as a way to show thanks. Then, I imagined the local jeweler added a gem that's said to bring good luck, and the tailor adds some nice designs to make it look all pretty. From there, I was originally going to add some bandages around his forearms, but then I got the genius idea to make it tree bark instead. I like to think that these tree bark covers he keeps on his forearms can help in the event of an emergency when he needs to protect himself, and it'll be easier for him to block attacks without getting too hurt. Building on top of that, I decided to add a dagger onto the holster from his leg that he uses to hunt animals or defend himself. I'm not sure how skilled he is with the dagger, but I imagine since he probably does this a lot, he's maybe been doing this for a while, that he might be pretty skilled with the dagger. From there, I need to figure out how he carried all his items. At first, I thought of going with a trench coat like you see in the old cartoons a lot, but then I thought of a really big backpack instead. I ended up going with neither though, or at least technically, I did go with the backpack idea, but instead I took inspiration from this design I found on Pinterest where the artist used an oversized potion bottle with a tree inside to make it look like a backpack, and I thought that was a really cool idea. Especially since the prompt said this goblin of ours sells magical items, I thought it would fit perfectly. So I also went with the oversized potion bottle idea, but instead I made his so you can't see the inside at all, and instead it acts as an endless bag. I like to think the sorcerer also made this for him. So instead of being limited by what he can and can't bring, he has his entire inventory at the ready. He just thinks about what he wants to grab from a room back underground, and he can pull it out of the backpack. This of course allows him to sell more efficiently and easily travel farther to other towns to sell more items. Although most of his customers are either travelers or people in the nearby village, I imagine sometimes he does venture out to farther away towns and cities. Lastly, I added a belt to his outfit that carries some pouches he can use to store money in or anything else he may not want to clutter with the storage room. And that's it for his overall design and bits of the story. Honestly, I like this character and I could totally see myself doing something with him in the future. I think it'd actually make for a really interesting game. But anyways, that said, I wanted to create a drawing to go with this new guy. I knew I wanted some sort of drawing that showed off him selling his wares in town. I messed with a few ideas in my head before doing some quick thumbnails and decided on this composition inspired from a drawing I found on Pinterest. The drawing on Pinterest kind of used the same system where there's a foreground and then the background and the characters and everything. In the foreground, there's some shops with a goblin in the center sitting on his oversized backpack calling out to sell his wares. Next to him is a cart he uses to put up his most popular items out on display for onlookers to view. I already knew at the end of this drawing I would make sure to blur the foreground a bit so that way it gives more focus to the goblin character. But I also wanted to see if I'd be able to push the lighting in this drawing as well. This is actually my first digital illustration with a background since starting my art style study series, and I was really curious to see how it would come out, as I feel like doing these studies has really evolved my art style a lot.